Hey guys, today we are going to read some The Puppy Place, Chewy and Chica. So guys, I hope you have been enjoying these chapters in this book. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel and like and comment down below for more videos when I am not busy. So guys, let's get started. 40 more pages, guys. Chapter 8, Charles held his breath. His heart pounded. Any minute now, somebody would come in and see the puddle. He wished he had never started this whole business. Why had he let Sammy talk him into it? He was just about to grab a napkin from the table and mop up the puddle when the Bean and Mom walked into the dining room. "I've shut Buddy up," the Bean announced proudly. "Shut him up?" asked Charles. "I didn't hear him barking again." "He means he shut Buddy up in his room while we have dinner," Mom explained. "He's seen you do that when we have temporarily keep Buddy away from our other foster puppies." "What a smarty." She patted the Bean's head, but the Bean wasn't paying attention anymore. He spotted something. "Puppy, uh-oh." He pointed to the puddle on the floor. Charles looked down. He was horrified to see that the puddle was seeped into the corner of the rug, creating a large, round, dark stain. "What's that, sweetie?" Mom asked the Bean. Then she looked down too. "Ah, my rug! These puppies are out of control." "It wasn't Chewy," Sammy said quickly. "I was holding him." Sure enough, he had the brown and white puppy snuggled in his arms. "Chica!" Lizzie came back into the room with a bowl of potatoes. Her face fell when she saw the puddle. "Oh, Chica, you didn't." Chica sat near the puddle. She squinted up at Lizzie and trembled all over. "No, I didn't. I really didn't." Well, that's just sad. Lizzie scooped up the pup and ran her to the back door. Dad poked his head into the dining room. "What's going on?" he asked. Mom just pointed to the puddle on the floor. "Oh no," said Dad. "That's no good. I wonder if caring for two puppies would be too much." Sammy nudged Charles and smiled, but Charles didn't smile back. He didn't feel much like smiling anymore. Lizzie was really upset. Mom was mad. Dad was probably about to say that they couldn't keep the puppies, and poor Chica probably thought she had done something terrible. "It's not what you think," Charles burst out. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the little bottle. Just as Lizzie returned with Chica and a handful of paper towels. "It's only water," Charles said. "Dad, you mean you poured water on the floor and let Lizzie believe it was Chica's making a mistake?" Charles looked down at his feet. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm really sorry." He held up his hands. "It was just supposed to be kind of a joke." "Well, it wasn't very funny." Mom frowned at Charles honestly. "Charles, I thought that puppy had ruined my rug." "That's not like you, Charles." Dad shook his head. Charles felt his face grow hot. Dad was right. It wasn't like him. "It was kind of funny the first time," he said, trying to explain. "Then, I don't know, we just kept doing it." Lizzie glared at Charles. "I don't believe it. You mean every one of those puddles tonight?" was just water, she shoved the paper towels at him. You are really something else. And guess what? You can't forget about your stupid petition idea. You are hereby uninvited to our demonstration. But Charles saw the way Mom and Dad were looking at him, and he decided it might be better not to say another word. He could try blaming Sammy, but he knew it wasn't really his friend's fault. After all, he had agreed to the idea, so he just said, "I'm sorry" again. As he squatted down to clean up the water, he wished he could scuttle down the table, under the table, and thump his tail while he peeked out pleading, the way Buddy did when he knew he'd done something wrong. Lizzie always forgave Buddy. Maybe she would forgive him too. Sammy cleared his throat. You know what? I think I'll go home for dinner after all. What? After all, he handed Chewy to Charles and slipped away, leaving Charles to sit through a very quiet family dinner. For the rest of the evening, Charles thought about how he could make it up to Lizzie. He tossed his shredded baseball from hand to hand, but no ideas popped into his brain. Maybe the magic was gone. Now that the baseball was ruined, he flopped around in the bed at night as he tried to come up with an idea. Finally, when the first light of morning brightened his windows and he heard a robin sing outside, Charles jumped out of bed. After he took Chewy out, he went to his closet and rummaged around until he found an old pad of newsprint he used to draw on. He brought it to his desk. When at the top, he lettered very carefully, "We, the undersigns." He had to wait until 9 in the morning to call Sammy. That was the rule, but at 9:01 he dialed Sammy. He said when his friend answered, "I need your help, and you know you owe me one." Mom had left the house early, heading out with Sammy's dad to investigate the puppy mill. She hoped to finish her article and turn it in that day so it could come out on the morning of the demonstration. But Charles' dad was happy to drive Charles and Sammy downtown. They brought along Charles and Sammy downtown. They brought along Chewy and Sammy's dogs, Rufus and Goldie, and set up the table in front of Lucky Dog Books, the bookstore owned by their friend Jerry Small. Charles set out his petition and the brochure Lizzie had printed out. Then Jerry helps him and Sammy hang up the huge sign Charles had made that morning using every color of marker he owns. It said, "Calling all animal lovers, demonstration against puppy mills tomorrow from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Dog wash to benefit Caring Paws, only $2. Charles had cut out pictures of puppies and dogs from a magazine and pasted them all over the sign, and he'd drawn a border of paw prints. It looked pretty good. That'll definitely attract some attention, Jerry said. He stroked his chin. But I wonder if you should add a few words about where the demonstration will be. Oops, Charles grabbed a thick black marker he'd brought just in case and wrote at Pet Love Store in big block letters squeezed in around the rest. What's this all about? A woman approached the table. Maybe she would be the first person to sign the petition. She read out loud, read the undersigns. Believe that puppy mill should be illegal in our state. There are enough unwanted puppies in the world without the puppy mills making more of them. Send a message to the lawmakers. Sell puppies from puppy mills, and turns away from the petition and picked up a brochure saying, and oh dear, as she read. That's just awful, she said. Finally, she put down the brochure and looked one time at the empty petition. Then she walked away. Hey, said Charles, but she didn't turn around. Jerry Small went over to the petition. Sometimes it helps if there's already another signature on there. He signed his name with a flourish. Charles and Sammy signed beneath Jerry's name. Now the petition looked much better. Charles just knew that the next person who looked at it would sign it. Back at home, Lizzie and Maria were in the kitchen, surrounded by bowls and spoons and bags of ingredients. Every inch of the kitchen, the counters, the handle of the fridge, the sink, and the both girls was covered with a fine dusting of flour. This was a great idea. Lizzie wiped some flour off her nose. Why buy dog biscuits from Pet Love when we can make our own? To give away at the demonstration, she began to measure about a tablespoon of brewer's yeast. When her timer went off of a dings, oops, time to go out. Chica, she picked up the pup and whisked her outside. Chica trotted against the rose bush and did her business. I get it. I definitely get it. This is why you want to do when we come out here. I am still so mad at Charles, Lizzie said to Maria after she praised Chica and brought her inside. How could she pull such a dirty trick? I can't wait to get him back at him. Adam, come on, Lizzie. You know Sammy probably talked him into it, Maria said. Sammy's not a bad kid, you know. No, he loves to play tricks. I don't think he and Charles meant to be mean. Still, said Lizzie. She opened the fridge and gazed inside. Then pulled out a bottle of ketchup. I know. When I'm holding Chewy later, I can pour some of this on my hand and pretend he bit me. It'll just look like blood. Maria shook her head. That's not too nice, she said. I think you should just forgive and forget and move on training the puppies and finding them good homes. Is this most important thing, isn't it? But Mr. Beauregard said it's okay to take action when you're mad. Lizzie said, remembering that's how our whole idea for the demonstration started. She passed the bone-shaped cookie cutter to Maria, who had just rolled out their first batch of dough. Well, maybe when it's a big store you're mad at or a puppy mill. That's true, said Maria. But when it's your little brother who didn't really do anything that terrible, she raised her eyebrows at Lizzie. Lizzie knew that Maria would always wished she had a brother. As an only child, she saw just the good side of having siblings. Sometimes she didn't understand what pests they could be. But Lizzie also knew that Maria was probably right. What good news it do to take revenge on Charles. He absolutely felt bad about what he'd done. I know how Sammy's a bad influence on Charles, she asked her friend. Well, I guess you're a good influence on me. She put the ketchup bottle back into the fridge. Think of it this way, said Maria. You should be happy because all of those mistakes that Chica had were fake. That means that your 20-minute plan works. She opened the oven and slipped a tray of biscuits to bake. Lizzie had to smile. Maria was absolutely right. Lizzie had to smile. Maria was absolutely right. Yeah, she held up a hand for a high five. Downtown, Charles and Sammy worked hard all day at collecting signatures. They stopped every single person who walked by and told them and why Pet Love shouldn't sell puppies that came from puppy mills. Some people took the time to listen and talk about the problem. Some just signed the petition and went on their way. A few people shook their heads and tisked, but didn't seem to want to get involved. Almost everybody petted Chewy and Rufus and Goldie and said that what good dogs they were. Charles kept a very, very close eye on Chewy. Unfortunately, he did not bite anybody, though. He didn't mouth one lady's hand. Sorry, Charles said. He doesn't mean anything by it. The lady laughed. It's fine. I'm used to puppies, even though my dog Foxy is all grown up. Now I must say, this is one of the cutest puppies I've ever seen. He's tiny, but he has so much personality. He's looking for a forever home, Charles said. He's from a puppy mill near here, but he got rescued. He's really smart and really sweet. Oh, the lady bent over Chewy and cooed him. Would you like to come live with me and Foxy? Foxy loves little dogs. She smiled at Charles. I'll be sure to come to your demonstration tomorrow and bring Foxy. They get along This cutie pie might just have a new home. Charles grinned at Sammy behind the lady's back. Yes, Sammy crowed. When the lady had signed the petition and walked away. Wait till Lizzie hears. You found Chewy a home. You won the bet. But Charles shook his head. I don't think it's a good idea to tell her until I'm sure. He had knew more than one puppy adoption fall through. After a few more hours of work, Charles and Sammy had collected almost 100 signatures. He couldn't wait to show the petition to Lizzie. Would it be enough to make up for Lizzie? Would it be enough to show the petition to Lizzie? Would it be enough to make up for the tricks he played on her? By the time Charles got home, Lizzie and Maria had baked 7 dozen cookies. That's enough for 84 dogs. Lizzie showed them off to her brother. We might need even more than that, said Charles proudly. He showed Lizzie the petition. Not bad, Lizzie hated to admit it, but Charles, could Mr. Sneed ignore that? Miss Maria shot a glance. Why don't you tell him? Collect more signatures at the demonstration, she whispered. Charles threw up her hands. Wasn't Maria taking this good influence thing too far? Okay. Yay! Yelled Charles. I think there will be a ton of people and dogs there. We told everybody about the demonstration, and a lot of them said they'd be there. We'll see, said Charles. She still wasn't quite ready to forgive Charles for the trick he'd played on her. I hope they all show up. Chapter 9. Yikes! I can't believe... Wait, guys, I'm going to see how much pages this is. So, 121 and this is 17. So, yeah, I'm going to read this. Yikes! I can't believe they all showed up. Lizzie stared at the crowd gathered in front of Pet Love. The next morning, dozens of people and dogs milled around, and more arrived every minute. Lizzie spotted a man peering out the Pet Love window. He was wearing a suit jacket over a button-down version of the red Pet Love staff t-shirt. That must be Mr. Sneed, she said. She smiled at him. He did not smile back. We don't have nearly enough signs for everyone to carry. Charles said, beginning to unload a pile of signs from the back of Dad's truck. He and Sammy and Lizzie and Maria had worked together for hours. The night before, painting signs with slogans like no more puppy mills and love your pets, don't shop at Pet Love. Charles and figured that a lot of the people he had talked to the day before would be there. But the crowd this morning was even bigger than he expected, probably because Mom had mentioned the demonstration in her article, which had come out in the morning's paper. Charles had not been able to look at the pictures with the article, or even read too much of what Mom had written about what she'd seen at the puppy mill. It made him sick too. Think about all those dogs and puppies locked up in cages. It made him mad too. And it just have made a lot of other people angry, because here they were to protest puppies mills. All kind of people, from toddling babies to grandparents with canes. And they'd all brought their dogs, big dogs, little dogs, fluffy dogs, tow guy dogs. The people chatted while their dogs sniffed one another. Charles spotted the lady who wanted to adopt Chewy and waved at her. She waved back and pointed to the dog with a fluffy coat. That must be Foxy. The lady smiled at Charles. Yay! Maybe he really would win the bet. As soon as he got the chance, he'd bring Chewy over to meet Foxy. Miss Dobbins had arrived early with Mr. Beauregard. They had brought all the male puppies from the shelter, piled in Mr. Beauregard's car, along with Andrew and Julie. Now, Lizzie saw Miss Dobbins looked at the crowd. The shelter director laughed, then turned to give a funny little salute to the man staring out the Pet Love window. The same man Lizzie had smiled at earlier. Too bad for you, Mr. Sneed. Mr. Dobbins turned back to Charles and Lizzie. I warned him. I asked him one more time not to sell puppies from the puppy mill. I told him that our caring club was planning a demonstration. I don't think he took me very seriously. No, I'm bleeding. I don't care though. Charles and Sammy handed out signs while Mom helped Lizzie and Maria set up the dog wash station in front of Rispoli Hardware. Dad the Bean walked Buddy through the crowd, handing out free homemade dog biscuits. Lizzie and Maria had packaged them in sandwich bags with recipe card attached. Why buy treats at Pet Love when you can make them yourself? Said the heading on the card. Miss Dobbins and Mr. Beauregard had a kiss, and a few nice words for every dog he met. He paid attention to the dogs, while Miss Dobbins welcomed the owners and thanked them for coming. Yow, Chewy, Charles said. Yip, yip, yip. He had Chewy in one arm and a load of signs in the other. This was not a good time for Chewy to chomp on his fingers. Oops, sorry, I forgot. For a second, Chewy stopped biting. Instead, he began to struggle in Charles' arms, trying to get down so he could run after the bigger dogs. Yap, 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 he barked at the two German shepherds who worked with who had arrived with Meg, one of the firefighters who worked with Dad. Yip, 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 he howled at Cinnamon and Coco, the mixed breed dogs. The Petersons, Arthur Mary Thompson, had adopted. Grr, yip! Chewy barked at Zeke, a goofy chocolate lab who belonged to Charles' friends Harry and Murphy. Another chocolate lab who was a service dog for Harry's friend Dee. Dee laughed as she rolled her wheelchair along, carrying a sign Charles had given her. That's one toe, little pooch. You've got there, Charles. The puppy mill as Andrew and Julie strolled by carrying signs they'd made themselves. Caring paws, the best place to find a puppy to love, said Andrew. Julie read, support your local animal shelter. They each struggled to manage 3 puppies on constantly tangling leashes. At the dog wash station, Lizzie and Maria had an assembly line system going. As the beat of the music that blasted out of the speakers they'd set up, Maria wet the dogs down, applied baby shampoo, and lathered them up. Then Lizzie took their leashes and led them through a plastic kennel pool they'd filled up with water. That was the first rinse. A long blast from the hose finished the job. People stuffed money into a collection jar Miss Dobbins had put on the table next to Charles' Pedichin. Most people paid more than $2 for their dogs to be washed. Lizzie had seen Mr. Beauregard, who didn't even have a dog, slip $20 bill into the jar. Check it out, said Lizzie to Maria. We'll raise a lot of money for the shelter today. Caring Club. Rules! Maria gave Lizzie a high five, then dance away to hose down the next dog. Lizzie's mom said she had come over to bring each of the girls a bottle of juice. You're a total mess. Lizzie looked down at herself and laughed. She was covered with suds and soaking wet, not only from the hose, but also from the wet dog shaking off next to her. Her hair hung down in strings in front of her face, and her sneakers went squish, squish, squish. With every step she smiled at her mother. Isn't it great? Well, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, said Mom, but I did want you to meet someone very important, and I'm not sure what he'll think of your new look. She waved at a man in a gray suit who walked toward the dog wash station. Inching his way through the long line of dogs, he stopped every few steps to chat with a dog owner or shake a hand. Over here, Senator, Lizzie gasped. Senator Bisbee was here. Perfect. Who cared about what she looked like? What mattered was that the senator had come to demonstration. Now he would see that what an important issue this was. He could understand why the state should ban puppy mills forever. She ran to the table to grab the petition and handful of brochures. Senator Bisbee, this is my daughter, Lizzie, Mom said. When the senator had picked his way through the mess of dogs and water and suds, "Well, it's a pleasure to meet you," said the senator. Lizzie shook his outstretched hand. So that was the people meant by a firm shake. "Ouch! So you're a feisty little girl. Organized all this." The senator waved a hand at the crowd. "Little girl?" Lizzie bit her lip. "I hardly did anything," she admitted. "It was my mom's article. Plus my brother Charles told lots of people. He got all these signatures on petitions too." She handed the petition, which was sort of soggy now, to the senator. He leafed through the pages, glancing at the names. "Very impressive," he said. Then he caught sight of Chica, who had wriggled her way out of Lizzie's apron pocket and jumped down onto the ground. Chica put both paws on the senator's leg. "Chica," said Mom, but the senator didn't seem to mind. "My, what a cute puppy. Is it yours, little girl?" "That's Chica. She came from a puppy mill. She happens to be looking for a forever home." "Is that so?" The senator squatted down to pet Chica. "Well, aren't you a pretty gal?" Chica squirmed and wagged and tilted her head in the cutest way possible. That's right, you bet I am," said the senator. "I might just have to take you home." Lizzie and Maria grinned at each other. Yes, the senator stood up and dusted off the knees of his pants. "Of course, that depends on what my wife says. She'll be here soon." Lizzie shoved some brochures into his hands. "I'm sure she'll love Chica. And maybe once you adopt her, you'll understand even more why you should support a bill banning puppy mills." Senator Bisbee chuckled. "You are quite the little spitfire, aren't you?" "Quit calling me little!" Lizzie felt like screaming, but for the puppy's sake, she held her tongue. "I just care about animals, that's all." Lizzie swept Chica up and nestled her into her apron pocket, but the senator had stopped listening. He gazed out over the crowd, waving at one person, winking at another. Lizzie could tell he was getting ready to shake some more hands, but it didn't matter. She had a feeling he would support their cause. Plus, she had found Chica a terrific forever home. "Can you believe it?" she asked Mom and Maria as Senator Bisbee melted back into the crowd. "He's going to adopt Chica. I won the bet. I am the world's best dog trainer." Lizzie held up her fist like a winning athlete. But Mom shook her head. "I don't know, Lizzie. Sometimes politicians just say things they think people want to hear." Lizzie didn't care what Mom thought. She was too happy. She turned up the music and sang along as she danced her way over to the next soapy dog. This way was the best demonstration ever. Charles and Sammy were having a great time, too. They held up their signs and chanted along with a group of marchers who walked around in a big circle right in front of Pet Love's entrance. "No more puppy mills! No more puppy mills!" hollered Charles. Not one customer had gone inside all morning. Mr. Sneed stood by the front window, arms crossed in front of his chest, and a big frown on his face. Charles waved and smiled a moment later. The well-organized demonstration turned into a total disaster. It all began when Chica started to bark from across the parking lot. When Chewy joined in, "Where are you? Where are you? I'm over here. Come find me." Lots of other dogs began to bark too. Then Chewy pulled so hard on his leash that it slipped out of Charles' hand. Lizzie must have let go of Chica too, because 2 seconds later Charles saw how 2 tiny dogs could create big trouble. The Chihuahuas ran through the crowd with leashes dragging. They chased and nipped and barked at every bigger dog they saw. With each was just about every dog at the demonstration. The bigger dogs barked back demonstration. The bigger dogs barked back or charged away, dragging their people behind them. Then the Chihuahuas got hold of the hose, then ran with it, spraying the crowd with floods of water. Charles groaned. Lizzie and Charles chased after Charles and Chica and Chewy. But the little dogs wove and dodged through the crowd. People yelled and screamed as the hose whipped around, soaking everyone and everything. Chewy's ears flapped as he ran, and Chica's eyes were bright with excitement. "What fun! What fun! Whee!" Lizzie tried to grab Chica, and Chica tried to tackle Chewy. "Over here! No, this way!" But no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't capture their wild puppies. Then Mr. Beauregard stepped out from the middle of the crowd. Calmly, he reached down and scooped up both Chihuahuas. He stuffed them into his right overall pockets and Chica into his left. "Okay, folks," he boomed in his big foghorn voice. Let's all just take it easy now. Just a couple of pups having fun, that's all." Chapter 10. "It's all your fault," Lizzie scowled at Charles as he helped her gather up a bunch of soggy brochures. The demonstration had never quite recovered after everybody had gotten soaked. Most of the people had drifted away, including Maria and Sammy, who had both suddenly remembered things they had to do. Mom was still roaming the parking lot, interviewing the last scratchlers for a follow-up story on the demonstration, and Dad had taken the Bean and Buddy back home. Lizzie jabbed a finger at Charles' petition, which drooped halfway off the wet table. Now the heading said, "E the you signed." Inky blotches showed where people's signatures had blotches, showed where people's signatures had melted away. You had to telling everybody about the demonstration. She went on. If there weren't so many people here, it wouldn't have turned into such a mess. Have raised all that money from the dog wash. He pointed to the jar on the table, which was stuffed with bills. And did you hear that Miss Dobbins found homes today for the puppy male puppies? Lizzie knew he was right. In a lot of ways, the demonstration had been a success. A success. Senator Bisbee was all let to take her until his wife saw what a troublemaker she can be. You should have seen Mrs. Bisbee's face. There's no way they're adopting Chica now. Mrs. Bisbee had been one of the first people to disappear when the demonstration had gotten out of control. Well, said Charles, I didn't tell you before, but I thought I had found a home for Chewy. But I thought I had found a home for Chewy too. He told Lizzie about the lady who owned Foxy. He hadn't even had the chance to talk to her before things got crazy, but he'd seen her and Foxy scrambling to avoid the wildly spraying hose. She didn't even bother to come over and say anything, and I bet she won't call either. She grabbed Foxy and left before I could stop her. Lizzie plopped down on a chair, her arms folded tightly across her chest. What a disaster, she said. That's the last demonstration I ever planned. Chica scampered up onto Lizzie's lap and licked her chin. Cheer up, soon it'll be dinner time. Lizzie gave Chica a scratch between the ears. I know who wants to go live with that silly old senator anyway. But we do have to find you a home. Silly old senator, are you referring to me? Lizzie looked up to the Senator Bisbee standing there with Mom beside. Lizzie coughed. She felt her face grow warm. And Lizzie was blushing, but the senator just smiled. I came back to give you some good news, he said as his chest puffed out and he looked into the distance as if he were making a speech to thousands of people, even though his only audience was Mom, Lizzie, and Charles. I want you to know that I intend to do everything I can do to ban these puppy mills operations in the state. I saw today that a lot of people really care about this issue. They signed the petition. They turned up to let their voices be heard. I want them to know that I just hear them loud and cheer. That's what I do. I listen to the people, then I try to change things. Then he relaxed and smiled down at Lizzie and Charles. I was going to wait to say so until next official press conference. But your mother here convinced me to tell you right away. Mom, who stood just behind the senator gave Lizzie and Charles a big smile and a thumbs up. Wow, Lizzie turned to Charles and then back to Senator Bisbee. That's great news. Charles just beamed. Then the senator had to ruin it all. He nodded wisely. It just shows what one demonstration little girl and boy can do. Ugh, little again, but Lizzie didn't even care. She felt terrific. Senator, I have one more question for you. Mom flipped open her reporter's notebook. Can you give me a timetable? She strolled away to finish their interview. Little Lizzie and Charles smacked a big high five. Yes, they yelled. A few minutes later, as Lizzie was wiping down a pet love window that had gotten sprayed, she heard someone come up behind her. When she turned around, she saw Mr. Sneed standing there. Was he going to yell at her? He held up his hands and smiled at a thin smile. I surrender, he said. I guess people really do care about this issue. I'll talk to that Miss Dobbins woman first thing tomorrow and arrange to take her shelter animals instead of those puppies from the puppy mill. Happy, Lizzie and Charles were speechless. They started open-mouthed as Mr. Sneed turned on his heel and walked off. Then Lizzie managed to find her voice. Thank you, she called. If you want to let everybody know, you can tell that reporter up there. She'll put it tomorrow paper. Well, Mr. Beauregard strolled over a few moments later to talk to Charles and Lizzie. From that I've seen, I can guess what you two might be feeling pretty good right now. He gestured to Mr. Sneed and the senator, who both stood talking to Mom by the shopping cart return area. So Charles thought he's been watching funny. Charles had been watching Mr. Beauregard, too. He had obviously had a great time at the demonstration. Why? Because he loved dogs. Charles could tell. He had pointed it out to Lizzie, too. Mr. Beauregard had visited with all the dogs at the demonstration, stopping to pet them and talk to them and scratch their heads. Sometimes he even squatted right down to give a dog a big hug or a kiss and to whisper into its ear. Mr. Beauregard had stayed around until the very last dog had left, except for Chewy and Chica, of course. Now he pulled out his checkbook. Have you continued how much you earned soaping up all those mutts? He asked. I intend to write a check that matches the amount. That way we'll double the donation to Caring Paws. Really? Charles stared at him. What was it like to be so rich that you could just do that? He tilted his head. So, do you have a private plane and everything? He asked. Charles said, Lizzie, in a don't be so nosy voice. She pulled her chair up to the table and dumped all the money out of the jar so she could count it. But Mr. Beauregard was nodding. I sure do, he said. I have to in order to see after all my business. They're based on over the world, so Charles said casually, if you had, say, 2 teeny tiny dogs that had wanted to take with you, it would be no problem, not like it would be on a regular plane. Ha, I guess you're right about that. I can pretty much do whatever I want. I own the plane. After all, Mr. Beauregard shoved back his red baseball cap and laughed. Charles didn't have to say anything to Lizzie or even give her a look. She knew that he was up to. She stopped counting the money and joined right in. Chewy and Chica are so smart, she told Mr. Beauregard. We've taught them a lot, but they've learned from each other too. Like Chewy taught Chica about a good place to pee out in our yard, and Chica is always teaching Chewy that it hurts if he bites. They're always good dogs, but together they're great. Plus, they really like you, Charles said. They calm down so fast when you put them in your pockets. Chewy Chewy likes some people, and Chica likes others, but there are only a very few people that they both love. Mr. Beauregard laughed again. Well, my dear, old mother always did used to say that. I had a way with dogs that first day we met you when you bought all the puppies from that truck, Charles said. You said you wished you could keep them all. How about just keeping these two? He reached down to pick up Chewy. Lizzie picked up Chica. What do you think? Charles and Lizzie held out the puppies. Chewy's tiny foot pawed the air, and Chica let out a yip, yip, yip. Take us, please! I love it in your pocket. Mr. Beauregard let out a huge booming laugh. Oh, why not? He said. They're no bigger than a couple of fleas. I can fit them in my briefcase if I have to. He reached out in his long, skinny hands and gently he took the puppies, cradling one in each hand. He beamed down at them. My new best pals, he said. Everybody needs a friend when they're out on the road. Mom came over when she heard everybody laughing. Lizzie and Charles told her what had happened. Wow, great news, she said. You two really get the job done when you're not busy squabbling, don't you? She gave them a few meaningful looks. And they knew exactly what she was thinking. The bet had made them so competitive that they had figured to work together. It's been a pretty good day all around, Mom went on. And now I get to tell your dad to start cleaning out the junk drawer. Yay, Mom! Lizzie and Charles cheered. Neither of them really cared about their own bet. Had ended in a tie, and they would still be doing their same old chores. The main thing was their same old chores. The main thing was that Chewy and Chica had found a fantastic forever home. On the way home, Mom told Lizzie and Charles, that now that Mr. Beauregard had adopted Chewy and Chica, there was still time to go up to Adventureland for a day or two. Maria and Sammy can come along too, she said. You both work so hard with those dogs, and you deserve a treat. In the basket of the van, Charles looked at Lizzie. She looked back at him. I don't know, Charles said. I kind of miss Buddy. I feel like I hardly got to play with him all week. Same here, said Lizzie. Plus, I know Miss Dobbins could still use some extra help over at the shelter. How about if we just stick around home? And she winked at Charles. Figure out what's next for the Caring Club. Sounds good. No more demonstrations for a while, though, okay? Mom smiled into the rearview mirror. Fine with me, said Charles. I bet we can come up with some other great idea. I bet you're right, said Lizzie.